If you're watching the show on YouTube, thank you. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, like the video. If you haven't subscribed, go subscribe. It's great content. Every single day, there's great content up there.
God.
Joining us now
He's feeding his children breakfast.
is a man who tried to Wally Pitt me off of this show, and I
did.
said, not so fast.
He kept saying, what would it take for him not to come back?
What would it take for me to replace one Dirt Johnson? Well, not much, but thankfully it didn't happen, and I'm still employed. We love him nonetheless. He's the columnist at the Oregonian, currently feeding his kids breakfast at Bill Oram on Twitter. Bill, good morning to you. How are you today?
I thought that I was probably not going to be invited back after they caught me trying to replace your name on the little mailbox in the staff room with my name. Just like I had the label printer out, and I just put Oram, comma, Bill, apostrophe, dirtier, apostrophe, like. Didn't work.
It didn't quite pull off. It would be a great joke, but I don't even know if we have a mailroom anymore. We used to have a mailroom at our home building.
We did, yeah.
I think we lost the mailroom in the move. We don't even have one anymore. Well, first off, thanks for hopping on. Good morning to you. Let's get to 48 hours ago, man. Everybody thought this week, wow, what a big week. The draft. What is Portland going to do at 11? Where do they go? And then, boom, bombshell on Monday night. Anthony Simons is traded to Boston. We've had varying takes all day, different people sharing different thoughts. You find out the news. What's the reaction from Bill Oram on Anthony Simons finally being traded and going to Boston?
All right, I'm going to tell you guys this, and I haven't shared this yet. It probably doesn't reflect that well on me. But I had a source call me on, what day was that trade?
Monday night.
Monday.
So I had a source call me on Monday at 6 o'clock from another team who said, hey, the Blazers are linked to Jrue Holiday. What the hell is that? Is that possibly real? And I sat there for a second, and I said, I cannot, in my head, come up with an explanation for why the Blazers would be trying to trade for Jrue Holiday. Let me do some legwork on this. So then I come home, I text somebody with the Blazers, and I say, hey, I've got something for you. And it takes them 10 minutes to get back to me. And in the 10 minutes it takes them to get back to me, I'm like, I'm getting set up. I don't know what it is exactly, but like somebody's trying to smoke out my sources. They've planted something. Like, I don't know what it is, but I'm not comfortable I'm not even comfortable checking this because it felt so far-fetched. So that was 7:30, 9 o'clock, the trade happens. And I was absolutely, one, very angry at myself as a reporter, but two, needed some time to process it because it is not in line with how we view the Blazers moving in terms of, going very young, trying to keep the books clean and financially flexible. It does neither of those things. But I kind of think I like it. The more I think about it, the more I talk myself into it, because I do feel like Jrue Holiday does several things that are good for the Blazers. People want to kind of poo-poo the locker room component and the mentorship component. Look at that locker room. Who is the leader in there? Who is the veteran leader? Who has a presence? Who can help Scoot Henderson and Shaedon Sharpe and Denny Avdia and Tumani Kamara? I don't think it's DeAndre Ayton. I don't think it's Jeremy Grant. Malcolm Brogdon was huge in that capacity, and he's gone, obviously. So I think that's huge. I think the way he defends and like the way he can kind of team up with Tumani Kamara on the wing, awesome. I also would highlight, I don't think the Blazers lost anything in this deal. Anthony Simons was done in Portland one way or another. If they had brought him back and tried to move him at the deadline or let him walk in free agency, this was over one way or another. By the way, Brandon, I think you owe me a beer for my 0%, by the way.
What do you mean 0%?
Send this man a Pelican.
What do you mean?
You said what percent do they? You said that there was a percentage chance when I was in studio that they were going to extend Anthony Simons to be like the future point guard of the Blazers, and I said 0%.
Look at Bill Oram.
Congrats. What?
He got it. He nailed it, and he had the scoop on the trade before it even happened.
You're absolutely right.
It's not a scoop if you don't tell anybody about it. Let me tell you.
Well, can you get a post-scoop
Yeah,
credit?
I give you post-scoop credit.
Because you're telling us you had a scoop, but you didn't follow the scoop up.
And I don't blame you, because if you would have texted me that, like a random text from Bill Oram, hey, Dirt, you Jrue Holiday, I would have said the same thing. What? Huh? I don't see it. That makes sense.
The other thing I want to say about this trade, like, Jrue Holiday's a bad contract now. I don't know if it's a bad contract in a year or 2 years. And what it does for the Blazers is it preserves that salary slot with a player you don't mind having. Like, his contract lines up with Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant's contract stinks because you don't need Jeremy Grant. You don't want Jeremy Grant anymore. You like having Jrue Holiday on your team. So, you can ride out that contract because he is doing good things for you in-house and on the floor, even if he's on the downward slope of his career. And then, in a year, 2 years, if you want to, swing a trade for a high salary player, you have the money to match. You have a guy that other teams, won't have to hold their noses to bring in for a year. So I think it's okay. I think that the positives outweigh the sort of things that I would have normally thought were stayaways in terms of the age and the money.
Do you like it?
Especially if the Blazers can find some way to do something with Jeremy Grant.
Yes.
But that still feels like a long shot to me. Go ahead.
Okay, so that was going to kind of be my follow-up. Do you like this move if this is largely it? Like, they're going to obviously draft somebody, we assume. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll make a trade and go get who did I hear this morning? I was listening to one of the like, maybe they go get a role guy on a team that wants a pick, and that's what they do. But assuming they just do their draft and they don't make another move, do you like the move then? Like, that has to change the math or the thought there, right?
Right. Totally. There's something sort of intriguing about this because it's happening before the draft, and it's kind of like before the crazy season has really begun. You're kind of sitting there with that anticipation of like, oh, and what comes next? Like, I think that, there is an element of we have to kind of let this play out. If they just make the pick and sort of, that's it, and they say they're $6 million under the luxury tax, I think it's a little underwhelming. But I would say that it is. I applaud doing something with Anthony Simons. Like, bringing Anthony Simons back for another year, to me, would have been just a big "what are we doing here" sort of decision. He did not fit with the young backcourt with Scoot and Shaden. He was on a different kind of career trajectory. He wanted to be the featured ball dominant guard. That obviously wasn't going to happen in Portland. It's not going to happen in Boston either. But in Boston, like, he's joining sort of an existing blueprint and
we'll see if he's on
whereas, well, exactly. And I would also say, this trade has happened so early. This whole thing, we've seen trades that, get agreed to early on in the trading period, expand to 3 teams, 4 teams. This framework could change too, just given the way NBA deals sort of expand in the moratorium. So, I think that, that's worth watching too. I'd like to see them do more. I'd like to see them figure out some of the other ill-fitting pieces. But do you want them to trade a first-round pick to get off Jeremy Grant? Like, that doesn't seem very responsible. But I think one thing that Joe Cronin has shown, the last 2 big trades that Cronin has made, he's been the guy sending out picks, which is totally unorthodox and counterintuitive from how you expect a team in their position to operate. And so I think a lot of people automatically look at that and say, oh, you're the one sending out picks, therefore you are losing the trade. That may or may not be true. One thing that Cronin has told me many times is, we believe we can go get, equivalent picks back. Like, the picks that they traded for Denny Avdia, he's like, it is not hard for us to go get, first back and recoup the coffers. But when he says things like that, I'm like, well, what were you thinking? Were you thinking Anthony Simons? Because you didn't get first back for Anthony Simons. Or probably would you have ever gotten first back for Anthony Simons? You're not going to get first back for Robert Williams. So I do wonder if that's something that sounds better than actually plays out in practice. But specifically in the Jrue Holiday trade, I don't think the Blazers really gave anything up. And they took back a little bit more salary than we expected to. But I think the positives outweigh. So I think that's the deal.
Yeah.
Where I don't know where you're at, but you're turning into a robot.
I think it's the breakfast. What are you feeding your kiddos for breakfast today?
They had I hear myself right now. That sounds awesome. They had some cinnamon toast crunch cereal.
Okay, that's a good go-to.
I'm stunned.
That's a good go-to.
I had him as carrots and grapes.
Granola guy? You think Oram's a granola guy?
Yeah, a little bit of that. It's the mustache.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, I saw him at the coast this past weekend.
I partied with him in Atlanta. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah,
right?
touche,
Bill
you're
Oram
right.
gets after it, man. He knows what he's doing
Yeah,
out
you're
there.
right.
Lastly, because the signal's getting a little shaky, what do you want him to do tonight at 11, Bill?
I'm not a draft expert, I guess I would say. Like, I kind of fall in love with a bunch of different names over the course of a draft. when you become like, oh my gosh, the guy from South Carolina, Murray Boyles, God, that guy sounds great, even though he can't score. Cedric Coward, he went to Willamette. Like, what are the odds of a guy from Willamette making it to the Trailblazers? So, like, I kind of fall in love with, like, different names. And I think at this point at 11, there's so many guys that, I think I could probably talk myself into. It probably doesn't matter. That said, they've lost a lot of scoring with Anthony Simons. They brought in another guy who's not going to be a go-to scorer, somebody who maybe has a little bit of offensive pop, a reliable shooter. If there's somebody there who can shoot the three, that would probably be where I'd be looking, because that's something they're missing right now when you look at this roster construction.
Yeah,
that Coward piece was really well done, dude.
It was.
I'm rooting for him to be a Blazer. I think it'd be really cool, but it was cool to see a Willamette guy get that kind of love and to be in this position.
Yeah, it's one of the craziest things. I mean, I've seen in like an NBA pre-draft to come to the realization that a dude went to Willamette and he's going to be a millionaire here in just a few hours.
Yeah,
and he wants to beat Linfield. That's all he wants.
Isn't that crazy? It's just insane. Bill Oram is our guest. Great stuff as always. The columnist at the Oregonian. You can go give him a follow on Twitter at Bill Oram. He's on Blue Sky as well. And I look forward to hearing what you got to write about tonight and what the Blazers do. It should be an entertaining 24 hours. And let's do this again soon. Thanks, Bill.
I'll be back.
Good stuff from Bill Oram.
He's been replaced by AI.
He is. AI Bill Oram.
What happens there on the phone?
He just got a little gargly there at the end. It happens to the best of us. Good stuff from him, though, just on the Blazers.